What are proxy power coins? Now, the power morpher has been a contentious issue with fans. MMPR powers were destroyed in various different ways, but over time, whenever an anniversary happened or whatnot, the power morphers returned and everyone was just confused on how it happened. So I'm going to try to explain what is going on, and thanks to the information we got from the Once and Always preview bit, it kind of helps in explaining what is going on and how these powers work. Everyone probably remembers when Goldar and Rito destroyed the power coins and turned them to dust, vaporizing them completely, losing the Ninjetti powers. Now, the thing that people kind of forget is also that was the Season 3 powers. Remember, when the beginning of Season 3 happened, the Thunder Zords were destroyed, and since the power coins were connected to the Thunder/Dinozords, they lost their dino powers. However, we do know that those power morphers still exist when Adam dangerously used his Season 1/Season 2 power morpher. But over the years, since Forever Red, we see Jason, Adam come back as MMPR Red and Black, and we're going, well, what happened? What's going on? These powers were destroyed or severely damaged, and they can't use them anymore. So what could be going on in the background? And now another staple that was created in Season 3 of MMPR was that if two people share the same power source, meaning like, for example, Kim and Kat, who were using the Pink Ranger powers in MMPR at the same time, it will potentially kill you because it's just too much energy drawn from the morphing grid, and either one or both of you will die in the process. This also gets repeated again in Dino Thunder with the White Ranger when they clone Trent's powers. But in Once and Always, the MMPR Rangers are back and they have their power coins, specifically the Dino power coins. In MMPR, we've seen in a couple occasions that the powers can be run at the same time or actually morph two people at the same time. Prime examples is power transfer, when that special sword was able to transfer the powers from Zach, Trini, and Jason over to Aisha, Adam, and Rocky. So it got people kind of confused, like what is going on? Did they duplicate the powers? Are there two versions of the Saber-tooth Tiger, Mastodon, and Tyrannosaurus power coins out there? Obviously, this happened because of the production issues that happened with the actors. But if you wanted to explain them in universe, I say that was more of like a after image. Basically, the power of the ghosts were still active with the Rangers, and until they simply teleported out of the command center, they simply finally fully vanished. That's probably the inkling of where the proximity coins came into fruition for Once and Always. But how did the powers come back after Season 3? And we know the fate of the Season 1 and 2 morphers. Now, another moment I also want to bring up was the Season 2 finale, Blue Ranger Gone Bad, where we had an evil version of Billy, and when they morphed, both Rangers morphed because they were holding on to each other, so the powers were basically duplicated at that moment. So it seems to be that the MMPR powers specifically are able to be duplicated fairly easily if someone is holding on. So maybe the same instance of why the power transfers was the same basic thing, because both Rangers were using them at the same moment, both of them were active, but it probably wouldn't last for a long period of time. Now, if I was Billy, I would be thinking about all this for many, many years. You know, you left the Aquitar, you went on with your life, but you would always be thinking, what can I do to bring back these old powers? And he knows that, you know, the Season 1 and 2 Dino coins are still out there, but they're badly damaged, but they do work. Adam proved that. You know, and fans have been, you know, thinking of so many different ways how the powers could work again. So the first instance that we saw in the show was Forever Red. You know, in the 10th anniversary, Jason came back with his MMPR powers, and we had no idea how that occurred. So the theory that could go on is that over the years since MMPR, Billy probably was in the back of his mind thinking, how can I fix these power coins? He couldn't fix the Ninjetti coins, they were vaporized, but he still has access to the Dino coins. We know the power coins were created by Ninja. We don't really know how exactly, you know, again, that's all, you know, in mystery. You know, it could be magical, technological. We could see Rangers' powers are always made in so many different fashions. All we really knew was that the powers are connected to the Zords, and when the Zords were destroyed, the coins were destroyed. Now, we know the morphing grid is basically an infinite power source, and if you're able to tap into the grid, you're able to regain connection to the to your powers, even in various other ways. Zordon was able to recharge the Green Ranger power coins multiple ways. And we know the main reason why the Green Ranger powers don't work is because Rita basically took them away. She was actively blocking or inhibiting the powers that go to the power coins. So you can sever a connection forcefully from a power coin. So the power coins are not like the do-all, the end-all to actually control the powers. It's possible that new coins could be formed and you can reestablish a connection to the grid. So it's possible that once Rita was gone and Billy had a whole bunch of many years of thinking of how to do it, possibly he could have contacted Ninjor. We know Ninjor had left and we haven't seen him in so many years. Billy could have come back with Alpha's help, and we do know in Once and Always he has a company now. So it's possible over the years that we didn't see Billy from either Aquitar or whatnot, he might have learned how the power coins work. That would explain how Forever Red happened. Billy, by the time Forever Red happened, was able to restore the powers and give Jason his power coin back. Now, another theory that can go around, too, is that we know from Dino Fury that the Morphing Masters, specifically the Green Morphing Master, has been helping out the Rangers behind the scenes over the years. Now, a lot of people don't really care for this idea because, again, the Morphing Masters become a Deus Ex Machina. They can, do so many, incredible things. Like we've seen them, bring people back to life. Example, RPM. We've seen Steel turn into a human. We've seen the Grid do these fantastical things, and then that brings up, However, they are useful in this case because, again, the Morphing Masters have the ability to go into the Grid, control the Grid. If Billy and Alpha weren't the ones who restored the power coins, it's possibly the Green Morphing Master was the one who restored the power coins. And I also believe the Green Morphing Master was the one who made the Master Morpher for Tommy specifically because he's the one who's had so many different powers over the years. It would make sense to simply consolidate all those powers into one Morpher so that he could use and switch over them over time without, and also it bypasses issues where lost powers were lost. They can restore them because, like the turbo powers were lost when the command center was destroyed. So he now has access to those turbo powers again. So that's another way that you can explain how the power morphers were also restored. But this brings up the issue in Once and Always. The main plot in Once and Always is that Rita has captured Tommy, Jason, and Kimberly in the movie in order to power the time travel machine, whether they act as batteries or act as like temporal coordinates for them to go back to those specific points in time. Those powers are active, so how does Rocky and Kat morph? This is where Billy came in and created the Proxy power coins, meaning most likely what they do is they tap into the grid and the active powers, because there's no way to actually power them down for Rocky and Kat. And we know that the MMPR Ranger powers can be duplicated. We've seen it. So it's possible with that loophole with the power coins, and they can be duplicated. Even though we know it's dangerous, Billy has been trying to figure out a way to either make it safe or eliminate the issue of too much pink energy. Billy, under the contingency plan, he thought, well, just in case if one set of Rangers was captured, the other set of Rangers could come in and use their powers if needed. I could see it working like that where, yes, the powers are active there, but they're also now being transmitted to the next person so that they're working in line versus trying to compete with each other. So maybe that will make it more safe. The Proxy power coins also enabled the possibility that Aisha and Adam could actually be morphed at the same time as well. So it gives us the possibilities of seeing all the past MMPR Rangers running simultaneously. Whether, the Green Morphing Master was the one who helped them in this regard, or Billy and Alpha were the ones who, figured out a way to do this. These are the best ways that we can explain certain things. At least the writers for Once and Always have considered and give a reasonable explanation of how this works, rather than doing it the whole Megaforce way where they don't explain anything. It fits in with Billy, it fits in with Alpha. I mean, Alpha and Zordon created the White Ranger powers. It was a completely separate power from Ninjor's power coins. So if anyone out there who knows power coins, besides the Morphing Masters, it's Alpha. He would know how they were created, how they work. I see the power coins more like, simply wireless receivers that are able to link up to the morphing grid, and their suits are, simply reconnected to it. That's how I personally see the morphing grid. The morphing grid has, it's really open to interpretation. So I always saw, even though the power coins were either destroyed or badly damaged, those suits, weapons, abilities, whatever they had, the blade blasters, all those things are still stored in the morphing grid. And I think that's all that really Billy needed to do. Are the explanations perfect? No, there's things that people can complain about. Like, for example, the Falcon Zord coming back in the team up in Ninja Steel. That's why I particularly like the explanation of the Green Morphing Master making the Master Morpher, which restored all the powers to Tommy specifically, and that's why the Falcon Zord is back. But then, we have the issue of, the original Megazord isn't once and always, and if it isn't, like, for example, they go back in time and they're able to summon the original Megazord from 1993, that means the Megazord was repaired, restored, reformed, but then that always bothered me because I'm like, well, technically, why would they want to use the Megazord when the Thunder Megazord was more powerful? It is a minor nitpick that ultimately, people just want to see the original Megazord because that's the original Megazord. You would want to see that versus the Thunder Megazord. We have Billy, one of the smartest Rangers of all time in MMPR. He solved so many issues. He dealt with so many things. He knows Alpha personally as a close friend. I could easily see them working for many, many years trying to restore and reestablish their connections to grid because, at the end of the day, over the years, Ranger powers have been lost and found and brought back. You would want to be a Power Ranger no matter what. Even when they do move on, you would be like, no, there are times in need when the world is completely screwed. You need to come back and help out any way you can. So I always see that, Zach, Billy, Jason, Tommy, Trini, Kat, Adam, Rocky, all those MMPR Rangers will want to come back and be able to help and serve in serious situations. I hope this video helps you in some way of explaining how the powers work and where they came from, and how could they possibly come back and explain how things are going on. For 20 years, I've been trying to figure out ways to explain how Jason's power morpher came back. Because, I like an in-universe explanation that works fairly well in order to explain things rather than be like, oh, their powers came back and that's it, don't worry about it. It's like, no, if you can figure out a way to work it into the story, that's the best course of action you can do. And there's many creative ways that you can restore their powers. From the comic books they came up with different ways, and now the show has come back with one. And I think, people shouldn't worry about it. It's a decent explanation, and, it's better than nothing.